Hi guys, welcome to my studio. My name is Fionnuala Lennon. I am a visual artist and today for Arts Acta I'm going to show you how to make a very simple mosaic coaster to put your tea on. I hope you enjoy. So what you need today in order to make your mosaic coaster is a plain coaster or a piece of wood, safety goggles, a pair of tile cutters or snippers, a hammer. You're going to need some master medium glue, and you can either use broken tiles, broken delf, or what I'm going to use today are these little shop bought square tiles. And the reason I want to use them is because it's nice and level, so when you put your wee cup of tea on there, you'll not spill any. So the first thing you got to do, safety first, and you put on your goggles, and then you decide on a pattern. So you're going to draw your pattern with your pencil. So you can either go for very simple squares, and that's just a matter of lining your squares up and then halving them and then a quarter, or you can have a little heart design. So then I'm going to show you how to fill that in, or you can do squiggly lines, and that is what I'm going to do today. So you just get your pencil, you do squiggly lines, and then you decide on your colors. I'm going to do beige and green, and I'm going to do purple. That's just what I have in the studio today. And so you're going to basically fill in your beige. The shop bought pieces are already smooth, so if you want to use the smooth bits on the edge, but if you're going to use tiles, that's okay. You can actually fill it in with a wee bit of grout at the end. So I don't want to have any proper squares, so I'm going to break them all. If you look at the back of each of them, there is a little ridge. So that's a good guide if you want to do a straight line. You just pinch it, but if you want to just do something, you can do it diagonal, or you can just chip a wee bit off, or if you want something very organic, then you just stick the hammer to it. Again, remember to put it inside something for safety, just so it catches the pieces. I usually use an old pillowcase. So we have the beige one, that one just fits nicely in there. And it's just a simple mosaic, so you don't need to think about it too much. Just have all the pieces fitting in. And always leave a little space. You'll see I'm leaving a wee space the whole time. And basically that is for your grout, which you will do usually the next day. It's best to leave it to dry overnight. So we just continue like that. I need a bit for in there. So again, I'm just going to snip. You just hold it in your hand and press like that. If you don't have these, just use your hammer. And then just continue the whole way along there. As I say, I'm not going to use any total squares, even though you can see that purple one. So I will do that. Always leaving your wee space as you go along. So you just continue. It's actually really therapeutic just to continue, fill it in along the lines. And here is one that I have filled in the green. And then when you have all the other bits laid out, what you're going to do is use your master medium glue or your glue of choice. I like master medium because it's very tacky, if you see that, so it sets really quickly and it won't run away. So you just put a bit on. It doesn't have to be overly thick. Press it down and then continue like that. Don't worry if you get any glue on the front of your tiles, because when you go to grout it, you actually use a sponge to clean it, and you do a lot of cleaning with the grouting. So it gets very messy before you have an end product. So you just keep sticking it on like that the whole way, leaving your wee spaces until you have them all together in a different color, something like that. Now, the glue here has dried overnight, so once you have it all glued down, leave it overnight, and then the next part will be our grouting. Now your mosaic has dried overnight, we are ready to grout it. So to grout it, you're going to need a pair of gloves, an apron, which I have on. Going to need some grout. I have chosen a charcoal grout. Going to need a container, some water, a sponge, that is to take away all the excess glue that you might have got on yesterday, a squeegee. If you don't have a squeegee, a very well used one like this, you can also use a ruler because it's so small. Some blue roll or kitchen roll. So the first thing you need to do is basically follow the instructions. So this is quite small, so you can use just a little container like this. And so you put the water in first, and then it's best to do that so you can add the grout and then mix it. I just mix it with my hands, and in all honesty I find it easier because you can kind of feel the consistency. So just keep adding it and stirring it. You don't want it very lumpy. You want it kind of to be nice and smooth. So you just stir and stir. If you were doing a big bucket full for a large mosaic, then you would be using like electric mixer, you know. So put a wee bit more in. It's quite a lot for this small piece, but I have other things that need grouted today, so that is fine. And you see the way it's really lumpy, so you just keep mixing and mixing until it's smoother. And then you'll also just feel like a resistance against the water, so it feels like it's mixing in there. You just keep doing that. You don't want it too watery, and you also don't want it too thick, but the more you mix, you will feel the thicker it's getting. And if it feels too watery, just add a wee bit more. You don't want it, see, like that. You don't want it like that. Obviously, if you bake, you want it like peaks. I think that's for pavlova or something. I don't know how to cook, unfortunately. So I'm just adding a little bit more, but I can feel the consistency is good. So just keep mixing. As you can see, you definitely need an apron. It is such a messy business. So you're basically mixing for 2 to 3 minutes, or as per the instructions. I'm sure this is not the most interesting. You can fast forward this bit if you want. So the consistency feels a lot better. Some instructions also tell you just leave it for a minute and then go back and mix again. Because it will actually, it'll start to harden a bit. Not that you want it hard yet, but come together. You can see. So I quite like that consistency. It's lovely and smooth. You don't want any lumps in it. So I left that for just a couple of minutes, not very long, to set a wee bit more. Obviously you don't want it to set too much. And once you have it at that lovely smooth consistency, anything you need done, this is the time you want to do it. So I just get it in my hands and put it on like that. I will say that rubber gloves, a stronger rubber glove, are better for this because often I'll get holes in them. But I only have one pair of rubber gloves at the moment. I don't want to have to go to the shop. So here we go, just rub it all on like that. You put it alongside. You just want it to get into all those little pieces, all your wee gaps. And you can see how messy it is. And I will be honest, in a lot of my workshops, I end up doing this for everybody. People hate doing it, but I don't mind at all. I just quite like messy art. And then the more you do, the more it'll start to set a wee bit, but at this stage it's still quite runny. That's just so it's quite pliable. At this stage now, I would usually leave it to harden, to set a wee bit before I take my squeegee and then go over it. And this is, you can see exactly why I decided to stick with the same type of tiles, so that it's quite even for your cup of tea. So you will do that, you'll get the excess off, and I will leave that to sit for another couple of minutes until it sets another bit, and then I'll take the kitchen roll to it and then sponge. But what we have here, and see if you have any little bubbles. There's a wee bubble there. Just fill that up again. So you're basically just going to leave that to set for a few minutes and then come back. Welcome back. I have left the coaster and the grout in order to dry, and now what we're going to do now is take our kitchen roll, our blue roll, and we're going to rub off the excess. Try not to do this too hard because we don't want to rub all of it off, like the bits in between. And if there's any bits on the edge, you can also smooth that off like so. And don't worry if it still looks quite dusty and stuff, because once it completely dries, then you're going to take your sponge and you're going to clean it off, and you'll be left with a lovely shiny coaster in order to set your tea on. And I also recommend, if you want, because the grout can leave it a bit messy at the sides, a little bit of acrylic paint will just bring that up and it'll be lovely. I hope you enjoyed making your messy coaster, but I hope you also had a lot of fun.